Hey there, Thrive Forward family. Welcome back to your go to space for inspiration, growth, and unstoppable positivity. Here, we're all about taking steps, big or small, that push us toward the stronger, brighter versions of ourselves. Today, we're tackling a challenge that every single one of us faces at some point: negative thoughts. You know the ones. They creep in when we least expect it, casting doubt, draining energy, and holding us back from reaching our full potential. But guess what? You're not alone in this journey. Together, we're going to break them down, understand where they come from, and most importantly, learn powerful strategies to overcome them. So get comfortable, grab a notebook if you want to jot down some insights, and let's dive into how you can take control of your mindset and keep thriving forward. Let's do this. Understanding and overcoming negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are an inevitable part of the human experience. They creep into our minds during moments of doubt, uncertainty, or reflection, often whispering phrases like, "I'm not good enough," or "What if I fail?" These thoughts, while normal, are not necessarily true. Understanding their origins is the first step toward reclaiming control over your mindset and building resilience. Where do negative thoughts come from? Negative thoughts often stem from three primary sources: fear, self-doubt, and past experiences. Fear of failure or rejection can trigger a cascade of what-if scenarios in our minds. For instance, imagine you're about to give a big presentation at work. Suddenly a thought pops up: what if I forget my points and embarrass myself in front of everyone? That's fear talking, not reality. Similarly, self-doubt convinces us that we're not capable or worthy. It's the voice that says, "I'll never be as talented as my colleagues," when in truth, everyone brings unique strengths to the table. Lastly, past experiences play a significant role. A failed attempt at something years ago can leave a lingering shadow that shapes how we approach similar situations in the future. However, these thoughts are merely reflections of how we perceive events, not definitive truths about who we are or what we're capable of achieving. The power of awareness. To combat negative thoughts, the first and most crucial step is awareness. Often we let these thoughts pass through our minds unchecked, accepting them as facts. But imagine if you stop to examine them, like holding up a magnifying glass to see them for what they truly are. A practical way to start is by writing down your thoughts. For example, after a tough day at work, you might notice thoughts like, "I'll never get this right," or "I'm such a failure." By putting these words on paper, you separate yourself from them. You begin to see them as just that, words, not absolute truths. Challenging negative thoughts. Once you're aware of these thoughts, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought based on fact, or is it just my perception? What evidence do I have that contradicts this thought? What would I say to a friend who shared this thought about themselves? For example, if you're thinking, "I'm not good enough for this promotion," consider the times when you've excelled in your role or received positive feedback. Remind yourself of your achievements and capabilities. Over time, this practice can help you rewrite the narrative in your mind. Turning the tables. Replacing negative with positive. One powerful tool is to replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations or realistic counterstatements. If your mind says, "I'll fail," respond with, "I've faced challenges before and I've grown stronger every time." To make this practice even more impactful, pair it with visualization. Picture yourself succeeding, feeling confident and thriving. For instance, if you're nervous about an interview, close your eyes and imagine walking into the room with poise, answering questions with clarity, and leaving with a sense of accomplishment. Real-life application. Let's consider an everyday example. Imagine you've signed up for your first 5K race, but as the event approaches, negative thoughts creep in. What if I'm the slowest? What if I can't finish? Instead of succumbing to these doubts, write them down and challenge them. Even if I'm not the fastest, I'm proud of myself for showing up. Completing this race will be an achievement regardless of my time. By reframing your perspective, you shift the focus from fear of failure to pride in your effort. This approach can be applied to any situation, from career challenges to personal growth. Final thoughts. Negative thoughts may be a part of life, but they don't have to define your story. By understanding their origins, becoming aware of their presence, and actively challenging them, you can take back control. Remember, you are not your thoughts, they are simply visitors in your mind. With practice, you can choose which ones to welcome and which to show the door. So take a moment today to tune into your inner dialogue, write it down, and start the process of turning doubt into empowerment. You've got this. Challenging negative thoughts, a path to empowerment. Negative thoughts often feel so convincing that we take them at face value. However, a closer look reveals that these thoughts are frequently built on shaky foundations of fear, self-doubt, or distorted perceptions. The good news? We have the power to challenge and reframe them, turning them from obstacles into opportunities for growth. Fact versus perception, breaking down the thought process. When faced with a negative thought, the first step is to ask yourself, is this thought based on facts, or is it just my perception? Let's unpack this with an example. Imagine you've been invited to present your ideas at a team meeting, but a thought sneaks in. I'll fail. I'll embarrass myself in front of everyone. Instead of letting this thought spiral out of control, pause and interrogate it. What evidence supports this fear? Have you prepared thoroughly? Do you have expertise in the subject? What feedback have you received in the past about your abilities? More often than not, you'll find that your thought lacks solid proof. It's based on what-if scenarios rather than objective reality. For example, a client I once worked with had a similar fear about public speaking. She believed she wasn't good enough because of a single stumble during a high school presentation years ago. When we analyzed her current situation, it became clear that her expertise, preparation, and past successes far outweighed that one distant memory. Her thought was rooted in an outdated perception, not the present reality. Reframing negative thoughts, from limitation to motivation. Once you've identified that a thought is unfounded or exaggerated, the next step is to replace it with a more constructive alternative. For instance, instead of saying, I'll fail, try reframing it as, I'll give it my best shot, and that's enough. This shift isn't about blind optimism or ignoring challenges, it's about adopting a balanced and empowering perspective. By focusing on effort and growth, you reduce the paralyzing fear of failure and open yourself up to possibilities. Consider an everyday scenario. You've been offered a chance to try out for a leadership role at work, but the thought, I'm not qualified enough, keeps holding you back. Instead of accepting this thought, counter it with, I might not have all the answers, but I'm willing to learn and grow in the role. This reframing not only shifts your mindset, but also empowers you to take proactive steps toward success. Why this works. The science of thought, reframing. Our brains are wired to seek patterns and respond to perceived threats. Negative thoughts often stem from this survival mechanism, as our minds try to anticipate and avoid danger. However, when these thoughts are left unchecked, they can become self-fulfilling prophecies. Reframing allows you to interrupt this cycle. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, helping you evaluate situations more objectively. Over time, this practice rewires your brain, making constructive thinking a habit rather than a chore. Real-life application, turning thought into action. Let's put this into practice with a real-life example. Imagine you're preparing to run your first marathon. The thought, I'll never make it to the finish line, crosses your mind. Instead of succumbing to doubt, ask yourself, 1. What evidence supports this fear? You've trained consistently for months. You've completed long practice runs. There's no concrete reason to think you won't finish. 2. What's a more constructive way to frame this? Replace it with, it's going to be tough, but I've put in the work and I'll do my best to reach that finish line. This shift doesn't magically erase the challenge, but it equips you with the confidence and focus needed to push forward. Final thoughts. Challenging and reframing negative thoughts is not a one-time fix. It's a skill that grows stronger with practice. Every time you pause to question a thought and replace it with something constructive, you're taking a step toward greater self-awareness and resilience. Remember, thoughts are not facts. They're fleeting mental events shaped by emotions and perceptions. By challenging them, you reclaim your power to shape your mindset and ultimately your reality. So the next time a negative thought creeps in, pause, question it, and choose a narrative that empowers rather than limits you. It's not about being perfect. It's about giving your best shot and knowing that in itself is more than enough. Harnessing the power of positivity. In a world that often feels overwhelming, cultivating positivity isn't just a feel-good exercise, it's a transformative practice that can reshape your mindset and your life. Positivity is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it's about intentionally focusing on what uplifts you, empowers you, and gives you strength to navigate difficulties with grace. Gratitude, a simple practice with profound impact. One of the most effective ways to nurture positivity is by practicing gratitude. The act of recognizing what's good in your life can shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right, creating a ripple effect of optimism and appreciation. Start with a simple daily habit. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't have to be grand or extraordinary. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee, the laughter of a loved one, or the satisfaction of completing a task. By taking a few moments each day to reflect, you begin to rewire your brain to notice and cherish the positives in your life. For instance, consider Sarah, a marketing professional who felt stuck in a cycle of stress and negativity. She began journaling 3 things she was grateful for every night. Initially, the entries felt repetitive: a sunny day, a good meal. But over time, Sarah noticed she started actively seeking out positive moments throughout her day. She began appreciating the small victories and found her overall outlook becoming more hopeful and resilient. Gratitude isn't just a mental exercise, it has tangible benefits. Studies show that practicing gratitude can improve sleep, reduce stress, and even enhance physical health. It's a simple yet powerful tool to bring balance and perspective into your life. Meditation and mindfulness, clearing the mental clutter. In today's fast-paced world, our minds are often bombarded with noise, endless notifications, work deadlines, and personal responsibilities. Meditation and mindfulness offer a way to hit the pause button and reconnect with the present moment. Dedicate just 5 minutes a day to mindfulness. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Inhale deeply, hold for a moment, and exhale slowly. Feel the rhythm of your breathing, the rise and fall of your chest. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently guide it back to your breath without judgment. This simple practice can clear mental clutter, reduce anxiety, and leave you feeling more centered. Let's take Jake, for example. A software engineer juggling tight project deadlines, Jake often felt overwhelmed by his workload. He started practicing mindfulness during his lunch breaks, focusing on his breath and letting go of intrusive thoughts. After a few weeks, Jake found himself approaching challenges with a calmer and more composed mindset. The clarity he gained during those 5-minute sessions became a game changer in managing his stress. Positivity in action, real-life applications. The beauty of these practices is their accessibility. They can be woven seamlessly into everyday life. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, feeling frustrated and powerless. Instead of spiraling into negativity, use the moment to practice gratitude. Maybe you're grateful for the music playing on the radio or the extra time to think. Pair this with deep breaths to release tension and refocus your energy. Or consider the next time you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Instead of scrolling through your phone, take a moment to practice mindfulness. Notice the colors of the produce, the rhythm of the checkout beeps, or the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. These small, intentional moments of presence can transform mundane situations into opportunities for positivity and peace. The science behind positivity practices like gratitude and mindfulness aren't just feel-good trends, they're backed by science. Research reveals that gratitude activates regions in the brain associated with dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. Similarly, mindfulness has been shown to reduce the size of the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for stress and fear, while strengthening the prefrontal cortex, which governs rational decision-making and emotional regulation. These practices don't just change how you feel, they change how your brain functions, equipping you to handle life's ups and downs with greater resilience and clarity. A path forward. Positivity isn't about ignoring the negatives. It's about giving more weight to the positives. By practicing gratitude and mindfulness, you cultivate a mindset that thrives on balance and perspective. Start small. 3 moments of gratitude, 5 minutes of mindful breathing. Over time, these habits will grow, reshaping how you experience the world. Remember, positivity is a choice you make every day. It's in the gratitude you express, the breath you take, and the presence you bring to each moment. And with each small step, you'll find yourself not just surviving, but truly thriving. The strength in seeking support. Negative thoughts can be isolating, creating a spiral of doubt, fear, or sadness that feels impossible to escape. Yet, one of the most profound truths about navigating these challenges is this: you don't have to face them alone. Reaching out to someone you trust, be it a friend, family member, or therapist, can be transformative. Sharing your feelings doesn't just lighten the emotional load, it opens the door to connection, understanding, and healing. The power of sharing. When negative thoughts take hold, they often thrive in silence. Left unspoken, they grow louder, more convincing, and harder to challenge. But the moment you voice these thoughts to someone else, they lose much of their grip. Think about it. When you've shared a worry or fear with a close friend in the past, didn't it often feel less overwhelming afterward? That's the power of connection. For example, imagine you've been struggling with self-doubt at work. Perhaps you've convinced yourself that you're not as capable as your colleagues. When you confide in a trusted coworker or mentor, they may remind you of your strengths, point out your accomplishments, or even share similar experiences of their own. This exchange not only provides reassurance, but also shifts your perspective, helping you see yourself through a more balanced lens. Asking for help, a sign of strength. There's a lingering stigma in many cultures, including in the US, around asking for help. It's often seen as a sign of weakness or inadequacy, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Seeking support requires vulnerability, a willingness to admit you're struggling and to trust someone else with your feelings. That takes immense courage. Consider the story of Tom, a successful entrepreneur who was battling burnout. For months, he felt like he had to handle everything on his own, fearing that admitting his struggles would make him seem incompetent. When he finally opened up to a close friend, he discovered not only a listening ear, but also practical advice that helped him delegate tasks and prioritize his well-being. Far from being judged, Tom's willingness to seek help earned him greater respect and strengthened his relationships. The role of therapists and counselors. While friends and family can be invaluable sources of support, there are times when professional help is the best option. Therapists and counselors are trained to provide a safe space where you can explore your thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. They can help you uncover patterns, challenge distorted thinking, and develop strategies to manage your emotions more effectively. Take Sarah, for example, who felt trapped in a cycle of anxiety. Her friends were supportive, but they didn't have the tools to help her break free from her thought patterns. When she began therapy, her therapist introduced her to cognitive behavioral techniques that empowered her to challenge her fears and regain control over her life. What once felt insurmountable became manageable through guided support. Why reaching out matters. Sharing your struggles isn't just about finding solutions, it's about human connection. As social beings, we're wired to seek comfort and understanding from others. When you confide in someone, you're not only easing your own burden, but also strengthening the bond between you. Think of it like this. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. Alone, the weight feels unbearable. But when someone offers to carry it with you, even if just for a short distance, the load becomes lighter and the journey feels less daunting. Practical steps to reach out. If you're unsure how to start, here are a few simple steps. 1. Choose the right person. This could be someone who listens without judgment and offers empathy, not solutions. 2. Be honest and direct. You might say, "I've been feeling overwhelmed lately and I could really use someone to talk to." 3. Consider professional help. If your negative thoughts feel persistent or overwhelming, a therapist can provide specialized tools to help you navigate them. Final thoughts. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's one of the bravest things you can do. It shows that you value your mental health and recognize the importance of connection in overcoming challenges. Whether it's a heartfelt conversation with a friend or a guided session with a therapist, reaching out is an act of self-care and resilience. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. There is strength in seeking support and power in sharing your burden. By opening up, you not only help yourself, but also remind others of the beauty and strength in leaning on one another. So take that step, make that call, and know that brighter days are ahead. Breaking free from negative thoughts, your path to personal growth. Negative thoughts have a way of sneaking into our minds and taking hold, convincing us that we're not good enough or that things will never get better. They often feel overpowering, and it's easy to fall into the trap of letting them control your life. But the truth is, you don't have to let negative thoughts dictate your reality. With the right tools and mindset, you can break free and thrive. Identifying negative thoughts. The first step in overcoming negative thoughts is simply becoming aware of them. Negative thinking often operates in the background of our minds, repeating the same harmful patterns without us even noticing. For instance, you might catch yourself thinking, "I'm not smart enough to succeed," or "I'll never be able to change." These thoughts are powerful, but identifying them is the first step toward gaining control over them. Once you bring them to the surface, you can begin to challenge them. Consider the example of Mark, a small business owner who was struggling with self-doubt. He often thought, "My business will never take off. I don't have what it takes to succeed." It wasn't until Mark took the time to write down his thoughts and reflect on them that he realized these fears were based on past setbacks, not his true abilities. By identifying these negative thoughts, he took the first crucial step toward change. Challenging negative thoughts. Once you've identified your negative thoughts, it's time to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought based on facts, or is it simply a perception I've created? Often, you'll discover that these thoughts are based on fear or past experiences, not actual truth. Take a moment to explore the evidence. For example, let's say you're preparing for an important presentation at work, but the thought creeps in, "What if I mess up? I'll look incompetent." Instead of accepting this fear, ask yourself, what evidence do I have to support this thought? Have you failed in the past? Have you practiced and prepared for the presentation? More often than not, you'll realize that this negative thought lacks concrete evidence and is simply a product of worry. Take Sarah, a college student who often doubted her abilities before exams. She realized that while she feared failure, she had consistently performed well on past assignments and her preparation had always paid off. Once Sarah started challenging her negative thoughts with facts, she began to feel more confident and focused, replacing negative thoughts with positivity. The next step is replacing negative thoughts with more constructive, positive ones. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it's about shifting your perspective. When negative thoughts arise, counter them with thoughts that empower you. For example, instead of thinking, "I'll fail this project," try, "I may face challenges, but I've overcome obstacles before and I'll give it my best effort." This shift in mindset allows you to approach the situation with confidence, resilience, and determination. Over time, replacing negativity with positivity becomes a habit that shapes your behavior and actions. Seeking support, strength in connection. Even with the best tools for managing negative thoughts, there will be times when you need extra support. It's important to remember that reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Talking to a friend, family member, or therapist can provide invaluable perspectives, emotional support, and practical advice. Consider Lisa, a busy working mother who felt overwhelmed with her responsibilities. She had been battling negative thoughts about not being able to balance work and family life. It wasn't until she reached out to a trusted friend that she realized she wasn't alone. Her friend helped her recognize that it was okay to ask for help, delegate tasks, and take time for self-care. By seeking support, Lisa felt empowered to handle her responsibilities with a renewed sense of clarity and calm. Moving forward with confidence. The key to thriving forward is understanding that negative thoughts don't define you. They are merely fleeting mental events that you have the power to identify, challenge, and replace. With practice, you can train your mind to focus on the positive, embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and seek support when needed. By doing so, you'll not only overcome negativity, but build a life filled with confidence, resilience, and success. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal growth and positivity. Remember, no matter where you are on your journey, keep moving forward and thriving. If you're ready to unlock your full potential, grow stronger, and embrace a life of positivity, then Thrive Forward is the place for you. Join our community of like-minded individuals who are committed to personal growth, overcoming challenges, and moving forward together. Don't miss out on the valuable content that will help you build the mindset and habits to thrive in every area of your life. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and be part of the Thrive Forward journey. Let's create a brighter tomorrow together.